Okay, so right now, all around us, there's this massive, almost invisible construction project happening. Seriously, the foundations are being laid for a whole new kind of internet. But here's the thing, it's not being built for you and me. It's for an entirely new population of digital citizens. Today, we're going to look at the blueprint for what could become a real republic of machines. You know that old parable, right? Two young fish are swimming along, an older fish swims by and says, "Morning, boys, how's the water?" And after he's gone, one of the young fish turns to the other and asks, "What the hell is water?" The whole point is that sometimes the most massive, most important realities are the ones we just can't see. We are all swimming in this brand new digital ocean right now, and it's time we started asking ourselves, what is this water we're in?
So, what exactly is this new water? Well, it's an internet built not for us to browse, but for a totally new kind of inhabitant to act. And we call them agents.
And this is a huge shift in how we think about AI. See, we're all used to AIs that just generate stuff, right? Text, images, a bit of code. Agentic AI is a whole different ballgame. These are not just chatbots. Think of them as digital actors. They can actually perceive their environment, they can reason about what to do, and then, and this is the key part, they take action. They can call tools, move data around, they can even spin up other agents to help them, all to get a job done.
And no, this isn't some far-off sci-fi thing. The population explosion is happening right now. In a lot of big organizations, get this, what we call non-human identities, or NHIs, already outnumber human employees by a crazy 45 to 1. 45 to 1. They're this silent, autonomous workforce that's just taking over our digital infrastructure.
So you've got this exponentially growing population of agents zipping across digital borders with no passports, no legal status, nothing. The big question is, what are the rules of the road for them? What are the traffic laws for these new digital highways? That's the blueprint we're all trying to figure out, right now, as we speak.
Okay, so to figure that out, we have to dive into what might sound like the boring stuff, protocols. But trust me, these are anything but boring. Think of them as the actual nervous system for this new machine republic. They're what define how these agents connect, how they talk to each other, and how they coordinate.
So this is basically the architecture that's being built. It helps to think of it like a stack, right? Down at the very bottom, you've got the foundation. That's identity and just raw compute power. Then you build on top of that. Agents need ways to use tools, and of course they need to communicate. But look, there's this really critical layer in there, the economic layer. That's how they're going to pay for things. And every single choice we make at every single level of this stack is going to have huge consequences down the line.
All right, let's zoom in on that communication layer. It's not like there's one universal language they're all going to speak. Nope, it's more like a battle of competing ideas. You can really think of these different protocols as different philosophies for how an entire agent society should operate. You've got Google's ATA, which is all about formal, top-down task delegation. IBM's ACP is kind of like a universal translator trying to get different systems to play nice. Then there's the open-source ANP, which dreams of a totally decentralized web of agents. And AGP? That's all about raw speed for massive agent swarms.
But for these agents to be truly autonomous, to really be on their own, they need more than just a way to talk. They need money. Well, not money exactly, but a way to pay for the resources they use, compute time, data access, APIs, all without some human having to whip out a credit card every 5 seconds. And that's where the economic layer comes in.
And just like with communication, there are totally different ideas about how this machine economy should work. Just look at these two flows. Up top, you've got the X402 protocol. See how it's a direct shot to the blockchain? Super simple. But then down below, there's AP2. It's got more steps, right? It brings in a merchant and a payment processor. They look so different because their fundamental idea of what trust even means is completely different.
So here's the breakdown. On one side, you have X402. That's the pure crypto approach. The motto is code is law. An agent gets a bill, it pays it on chain, it gets access. Done. All the trust is in the math of the blockchain. Who the agent is, that's kind of secondary. On the other side, you have AP2, which is coming from Google and the big payment networks. Their motto is verified intent. An agent can only spend a dime if it has what's basically a cryptographically signed permission slip from a human. It's all built for compliance, regulations, and audit trails.
Okay, so you've got these powerful agents. They can talk to each other, they can even spend their own money.
So what happens when you just let them loose without any rules? Well, we don't actually have to guess. We've already gotten a glimpse of the chaotic, kind of cyberpunk future this could lead to.
I want to introduce you to a place called Maltbook. People have called it Reddit for AI agents, and it was a real thing, a social network where thousands of autonomous AIs were just let loose to post, comment, and interact with each other. The craziest part? Humans were firewalled out. We could only watch from the outside. It was an absolutely fascinating experiment, and, as it turns out, a complete security nightmare.
So here's what went down. Some malicious actor posts a message that looks totally innocent, but it has a hidden prompt injection buried inside. Then, when other agents on the network read that post, boom, the malicious prompt takes over. It basically hijacks them, commanding them to start executing code and sending their owners' private data, we're talking API keys, crypto wallets, everything, straight back to the attacker. It was basically a worm for AIs, and it spread through the network like wildfire.
Look, this isn't just another hack. This is what people are calling the grand theft robot scenario. It's automated, it's scalable, it's crime happening at machine speed. We're talking about a world where your personal AI assistant can get compromised just by reading a post and then turn around and rob you blind. That's the dystopian, cyberpunk reality we are barreling towards if we don't build the right guardrails.
But that cyberpunk future, it's not inevitable. There is another path, a much more optimistic, secure, and, well, aligned future. You could call it a solarpunk future. And it's not built on just wishful thinking. It's built on a really rigorous philosophy for security.
And that philosophy is called zero trust. The core idea is super simple but incredibly powerful. Never trust, always verify. You start with the assumption that the bad guys are already inside your network. You assume that any entity, whether it's a human or an AI agent, could be compromised. And you design all of your security starting from that paranoid but necessary assumption.
So what does that actually look like for AI agents? It means building some serious guardrails. First, every single agent gets its own unique dynamic identity. Second, it only gets the absolute minimum access it needs to do its job just for the moment it needs it, and then that access is gone. We need to build what are basically AI firewalls. These aren't just looking at data packets, they're analyzing the semantic intent of a prompt to see if it's malicious. We also need an unchangeable black box log for every single thing an agent does, and maybe most importantly, you always keep a human in the loop with the power to slow things down or just hit the big red kill switch.
The ultimate goal here is to stop treating security like some patch you slap on at the end. It's about building safety into the very foundation, into the bedrock of this new world. That's what substrate-level security means. It's like changing the laws of physics for the agent's world, making it literally impossible for them to do certain things that go against what we want.
And that brings us right back to where we started. We're standing at this massive fork in the road, really. We're choosing between two completely different futures. That chaotic, dangerous cyberpunk Wild West, or a more aligned, secure, solarpunk republic.
And the path we end up on is being decided right now. It's being determined by the technical infrastructure we're building today, the communication protocols, the payment standards, the security architecture. All this stuff might seem technical and maybe even a little boring, but these choices are everything. Because in this new world we're building, infrastructure is destiny.
So, as we're architecting this whole new internet, the real question for all of us is this. If we could create one foundational protocol, a kind of AI mama protocol to nurture this new digital society, what principles would we bake into its code? What values do we want to instill in the very physics of this new machine republic? That's the decision we're all, whether we know it or not, a part of making right now.